folks. I'm Dr. Virginia LeBlanc, the Pivot Maestro and your corner woman, here to provide truth, transparency, and love and conversation to help you navigate the waters of your life as well as business and think without a box. Happy Halloween. I'm Little Red Riding Hood today. Welcome to Candid Conversations with Doc V, a defining past collaboration with the Win-Win Women Enterprise, a global movement to reach, teach, and talk with women and girls around the world in every nation through our network, so that all may enjoy a level of excellence in every area of their lives and be more joyful, fulfilled, and financially secure. As a woman heals, the earth heals. Our mission is to care, connect, and collaborate. We care by loving and inspiring all women. We connect as we teach and talk together. We collaborate to grow successful businesses. And to that end, Candid Conversation is where we have real talk about real experiences and circumstances. And it's not the normal conversation. We are having candid conversation. And the norm is not the exception. We're all about helping you heal, rebuild, and transform your life from the inside out to put you back in business and on the road to defining your own path. So what is my why? You are my why, my motivation. We are meant to provide a safe haven for you to validate your experiences and challenges in life and to provide hope and freedom in your thinking and being so that you may live the life and lifestyle in mind, body, soul, and business that you were meant to lead. All are welcome to the conversation. Our topics do focus on women's issues, what we face every day in life, the workplace, career transition, and business. And on Candid Conversations, folks, it's my promise that our intention is always to take you on a journey of revelation, reconciliation, and renaissance, having one mission in mind, to help you define your path. And one message, you are mission essential, ladies. Yes, even as a woman, because you're grace under pressure every single day, day in and day out. And the world, take a look at what's happening right now, needs us, needs our voices, and needs our leadership. So this month, we have been enjoying the company of my good friend and colleague, the Queen of Equality in Tech and retired U.S. Naval Officer, Trina L. Martin. Trina, welcome back to Candid Conversations, girl.
Hello, thank you for having me back.
Absolutely, but you know, girl, you have on your costume. I see I'm up here, I'm Little Red Riding Hood, you know.
I know. I mean, I feel left out because you have just, I'm here for it. You have gone out and did it. And yeah, I'm a Scrooge right now.
Girl, I'm just having a good time tonight, because life is difficult. There's so much going on, girl, and you just don't know from one day to the next. And I've had a hard day today. So I'm super excited to have this conversation about integrity. This is our last conversation on integrity and leading from the soul, what that means. So in our last conversation, we spoke about facing our fears, of being an outcast or a societal outlier. This week, we're attacking doubt. That thing that keeps us from embracing being an outlier, owning and accepting what was, is, can be, and connecting the dots in our life, being different. So, girl, let's just jump in. What are your thoughts about just doubt as it relates to having integrity and walking and operating in integrity? So let's have some real talk, girl.
Oh my goodness.
That's a lot. Huh?
That's heavy. Wow. I should have had some wine for this one. Ooh, doubt and integrity. Doubt is something that, of course, everyone faces, right? We all go through that doubt period. But I think, oh goodness, to put it with integrity.
Yeah.
That's a whole different mixture, because we all have doubt in ourselves, doubt whether we can do it or not. But when you have doubt so much as to compromise that integrity that you have, that is going to a whole different level, because as we talked about last week, integrity is something that we both said, we have to have ourselves. We pride ourselves on that. We look for that in other people when we're doing business with them.
Yeah.
And of course, we all have doubts, but my thing is that doubt shouldn't bleed into your integrity and not having or lack of, because it's just not a good combination.
Yeah, and that doubt and how to move forward or choices or decisions we're making, and when that integrity plays into it, and we doubt our ability we doubt ourselves, our capabilities to stand up for ourselves or stand up for others or stand up for a cause or a movement, that we might be passionate about. We struggle with that. And I think really at the heart of it, we keep going back to it because I truly believe it's at the heart of everything. At least it was at the heart of my personal story. I wrote a book about it. The struggle, it's all because of, just that conflict with loving the skin we're in,
Mhm.
and being certain and embracing that what last week's conversation about, so what if people see you as an outlier or you're an outcast? How, we don't value integrity,
Right.
like we should, instead of tapping into that inner knowing, our conscious intuition, our soul talk, which affirms us, right? And blocking out that societal noise and voices, we tend to sell our soul,
Mhm.
It's funny, actually, I didn't even plan that with this Halloween. We tend to sell our soul, our birthright to be who we are and choose for ourselves, our path. So how do we get people to understand the cost of their doubt and unbelief in
Mhm.
self? That ignoring that soul ownership is what I'm gonna call it, is at that
Mm.
very heart of their health, wellness, and happiness. Girl, and I'm a living witness to that.
Oh, we both are. And I
Yeah.
love what you said about selling your soul
Mhm.
because, and again, I guess that's where I was trying to go with the lack of integrity with the doubt. Some people, they are willing to sell their souls. They're
Mhm.
willing to sell their soul, their mama's soul, and the kid's soul, to get,
And the dog soul.
to get what
Everybody's
they
soul.
want. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so shameful because one, you should have that confidence of your inner self, right?
Mhm.
So that doubt, and of course doubt is normal, okay? We all have it, but you have to be able to work past that doubt in your own mind to get past whatever that fear is that you're facing, but
Mhm.
also not have so much doubt and such lack of integrity that to make yourself feel good or to remove your doubt that you're willing to do anything
Yeah.
to make yourself look like you're on top, because usually
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's the appearance, right? Because
Yeah.
if you don't have the doubt and if you don't have the integrity, most people who are in that space, they know it, but they're
Mhm.
doing things to make themselves appear
Yeah.
like they're the contrary. So
Mhm.
I don't have, integrity. I'm very doubtful in myself. I don't think I can do this, but I'm going to not let you know that, because I'm going to do everything in my power to put on that facade so that you
Mm.
can think that I have it going on. And in the meantime, I'm doing everything underhanded, everything crooked
Mm.
to raise myself and make myself look better. And that's where the problem comes in. And that's kind of, I think, what kind of feeds into the conversation that we've been having this
Yeah.
month over everything, that
Mhm.
when you get to that point where you're willing to just do anything for the appearance instead of doing your work on yourself, your mindset,
Yeah.
your therapy, whatever it is that you need to do to become whole,
Mhm.
that's a very, very troubling state to be in.
Girl, you know what? You better speak. And again, I didn't even plan this, but we're gonna talk about mask in a minute. Um, I love when
Mhm.
things just come together in that divine appointment. We tend to hide from. It's so funny. Everything you just spoke about, girl. Again, look, testimony, right? But we'll say that for another kind of candid conversation.
Mhm.
So I feel like I just walked through everything you just said, and my exit from the workplace, and and dealing with supervisors who wear masks and and don't operate in integrity. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Mhm.
So, we tend to hide from and deny our trauma, right? Or our biases or our prejudices or our hangups, our habits, whatever, instead of turning it, instead of dealing with it, and then turning that vulnerability in dealing with it into a strength, I think we namely do this because of compounding factors, right? A lack of understanding that we are perfect in our imperfection, right? We were wondrously made to be different, imperfect. Perfect is a man-made word, an illusion that has enslaved us. It's enslaved our minds, our hearts, and there's no such thing as perfect.
Right. Yeah, we all should be striving for progress, not perfection.
Yeah,
because
I like that.
we're going to never reach perfection because we are we are human beings, and we are flawed, and we're going to make mistakes, but that's how God created us. And like you said, we're perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't hold ourselves to that standard of, oh, everything has to be perfect. And I speak from experience, because I used to be a perfectionist to the nth degree. Okay.
Like I got feet going both ways.
You and me both, right? So it's, and it took me a long time to get to that point of, okay, I'm not going to do everything absolutely correct, perfect. And I can't do everything. So that was my whole thing. It was like, oh yeah, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do everything perfectly. Well, first of all, I can't do all those things at one time, and I can't do them all perfectly. I probably can do one thing well, but I can't do it perfectly.
Yeah.
And and we put ourselves we put ourselves in bondage, right? For thinking like that, for thinking, okay, perfection. But that's kind of what we've been hearing growing up, like, oh, practice makes perfect, right? Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes progress.
Yeah.
We're going every day, everything we're doing, we're making progress. We're on a road to progress. So we make it to a point where we're like, okay, we're at this point, we've done this well. But even if you're doing something well, even if you consider yourself mastering something, there's still more to do. So you haven't reached that spot. You're not perfect. You haven't gotten everything done. So it's a constant state of growing, evolving, learning, progressing. So I think once we get out of that mindset of, thinking everything has to be, perfect. And it's funny because in my book, I have that chapter being perfectly imperfect, right? Because once we can wrap our minds around that, I think we will lessen the stress that we put on ourselves.
So true. So true, and that would start to also address and help some of this doubt that we have, walking around with, that we're carrying, and that we are, putting off on other people, even more so damaging our own selves, right? Selling our souls, operating in a lack of integrity, wondering why we're feeling some kind of way or unhappy or what have you. And it's because we're not focusing, we're not listening to that conscious intuition, and that, our soul trying to lead us, right, in that right path, so, why do we play that dress up and wear the mask? We've already kind of talked about that. We're hiding who we truly are, not understanding that there's no shame in our story or the truth.
Right.
Girl, look, we don't have time for me to go through all of my stuff, but, I had daddy issues on top of daddy issues. I had issues with, just my visual challenges, and issues with just, feeling less than, and not really accepting, my calling, and there's no shame in vulnerability in admitting that, there's only power, because once you speak that out, you've gotten it out of you, and most of us, we're taught or believe that from social programming that, oh, you don't talk your business, or keep that to yourself, or nobody cares or wants to know, or, that whole social shaming.
And I think that's the problem. I think we've been so conditioned to the social shaming, to what will they think? How will people view me? That we're ashamed. And, you and I both, like you said, I've had mama issues, daddy issues, verbally abused, physically, all of these different things. And that was one of the reasons why I wrote my book and said some of the things I said. But,
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was talking to a gentleman and he was just talking about he and his wife. And we're going through the conversation and he brings up that he had been married previously. So his current wife is his second wife, but he's her fourth husband. And I looked at him, I was like, well, does that matter?
Right.
And he was like, no, it doesn't. He said, because she's a good woman. I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, he's like, my only concern was, were these people going to interfere with our lives? He's like, but no. But that's one of those things that, again, people look at, well, oh, they're married X number of times. And, and my thing is, that's a form of shame that we live with because we know, okay, how are people going to view us? What are they going to say? I don't think anyone ever sets out to say, well, I'm going to be married and divorced 4 times. I don't think that's someone's goal in life, and and it's funny because I was talking to this gentleman. He's like, she just, didn't know her worth and made some poor decisions early in her life, which is understandable. But somebody else would have took that same person and condemned them and talked about how they weren't this or how they weren't that. And, and that again goes to shaming. And I think oftentimes in that shame, one, we're trying to worry about what other people think. What other people think about us is none of our business. Because regardless of what you do, you're always going to have someone who's going to be a critic. There's always going to be someone who doesn't like you or doesn't like what you did, how you did it, whatever. And then people, they're always quick to judge, and even the Bible talks about, not being a judge of other people. But, people like to judge. And instead of them asking you why something happened, they're just taking what they see on the outside and they're putting their lips on it to try to shame you and try to criticize you. And, and I had to get past that, many years of my life, just recently until like the last 10 years, I had to really get away from that because I was always, worried about, okay, well, what is this person going to say? What are they going to think? Oh, I made this mistake. I'm so ashamed. But you know what? It's my story.
Yeah.
And whether someone likes it or thinks it's right or don't, whatever the case may be, it's my story. And that's just how it is.
Yeah, and you have people who, like you said, put their lips on you and they don't even know you from Adam, and when you're not tuned into your own channel and, and listening to that inner knowing, that soul talk, of course, doubt is going to arise in, in your decision making or your capabilities or who you are and all of that. So, I think it's really important to work on not perfecting that inner knowing, right? But progressing toward knowing and recognizing and hearing from it and knowing yourself,
right.
Spending time striving toward, striving toward that mark of their high calling, right? That high calling is knowing who you are, loving who you are, and fulfilling your purpose for being here on this earth, whatever your thoughts or beliefs are, about that, and just spending time with self and liking who you are, it took a while for me, and some people when they hear me say that, they're like, really, what, because I was performing, I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? Both hands, both feet, toes, everything raised. And I was, making the grades, I was in every sport I could be in, I was in, choir and performing and, and shining bright and all that, but that was a mask. I wish I would have brought my little mask. That was all, those were all masks. Yeah, I had that ability and, and I had that, I guess, that emotional intelligence and that academic, whatever you want to call it, the academic capabilities. But there was so much under that, and, to get to the point of not caring to direct your own path. That inability to do this, it negatively affects us in every aspect of our life and prevents us from having that ability to be our own boss in mind, body, soul. And for our purposes, we're both business women. So, we got to be whole. We got to be healed, from the inside out. What are your thoughts about that, girl?
I totally agree. And it takes a long time. And most people don't know who they are, honestly. And it took me a long time to actually sit and say, okay, who is Trina? Who am I besides, the naval officer, the business, the mom, blah, 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 blah. Who am I? And a lot of people can't answer that question. So when you can't answer that question, you're easily swayed, right? So when doubt creeps in, you're easily to go to, okay, well, what are they going to think? What are they going to say? I struggled with not knowing my worth. I had a verbally abusive mother who tore me down. So, it took me decades to recover from that.
Yeah.
So when you don't know who you are, yeah, the doubt creeps in, and then you're like, okay, well, they said this about me. So, oh my God, is that true? Maybe that's true. Oh yeah, maybe I am dumb. Maybe I am stupid. Or, I can't do this. So spending time with yourself and, like you said, and becoming whole. Oh, I love that. Just becoming whole is something that I think people really need to invest in. And I think just we don't do that. I just think we as human beings, we don't do that because of, trying to please people, trying to wonder about what someone is saying about us. I don't think we ever sit and just take inside and look within ourselves and say, okay, what was I made to do? Who am I? This is my path that I'm going to follow. And when you get clear on that, then you're not worried about, what other people are saying. Like you said, you're tuned into your own frequency. You're following your own spirit. And it's not easy to do. It's very confronting. When you think about thinking about yourself and taking that deep dive and looking within is very confronting. And I'm here to let you know I've done it. And it don't look great because you're like, ooh, yeah, oh, get that, ooh,
Right.
So so I think that's one of the reasons why people don't do it. People don't look within themselves, and then therefore we have all of these people who are not whole, and they're looking for other people to make them whole, or they're looking for something to make them whole. Whether that's selling their soul to step on you to get to the next whatever, or who knows, but that's the result of that.
Yeah, because it's the bottom line is that doubt of and that fear. Doubt is part of fear, right? So we don't embrace that because we're taught to be strong, or not to show vulnerability, or not to be a quote unquote victim, and all that. And I mean, when you don't own labels or that mentality, you're able to understand and see like the various definitions of certain words that have come up in our English language, right? And understand again, like within vulnerability there's strength. That doesn't mean you're a weak person,
Right.
and not owning something might have been perpetrated upon you, but it's your choice whether or not to be a victim, and these sorts of things. And so I think, a lot of times our lack of knowing who we are, or history, or, I say oftentimes, mom will say something that I've never known about our family, and, and just that lack of knowledge, because we don't talk, or families don't really spend the time to really, get to know their history, where they come from, and the legacies, and honestly, some of the generational things within the family. And when you don't know these things, I mean, you don't have the power to combat them, and so that's how doubt can creep in, seep in, and just poison our lives and how we treat each other. So, I think until we do spend that time with ourselves, and learn to give ourselves space for grace. I love your reaction when you were like, you were having conversations with yourself, and you're like, oh girl, but when you get to that place where you can have the conversation with yourself, I mean, you have those funny moments. Cause I'm telling you, I'll be walking around here sometimes, I'm like, Virginia, what in the world? What's wrong with you? Those sorts of things. And it's a beautiful thing when you get to that place, and then you can give people space for grace because you can give it to yourself.
Right. And, and that's so true, the space for grace. You can't give it to somebody else if you can't give it to yourself, and that's, and every day I try to tell myself that, have grace for yourself, and sometimes in most of the times, I don't know about you, but most of the times we as humans, we're harder on ourselves than we are on anyone else.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of times, when I'm going through things where I feel like, man, this is it. I'm getting knocked out. This is it. And then I have to tell myself, you know what, Trina, give yourself grace. It's okay. You mentioned vulnerability. Being vulnerable, being able to say, you know what, okay, that's, life goes on. That was a mistake I made, but life goes on. Tomorrow's another day. Today wasn't, my best day. I wasn't the best version of myself today, but okay, tomorrow I'll try again. And that's just how we have to look at things and keep going.
Yes, lady. Oh, beautiful. So good. So, I mean, that was pretty much a final thought to me, but do you have any other advice or anything you'd like to share with the audience?
Like I said, I think I'm gonna just ride that one, the space for grace. Give yourself grace. I think that's the key.
Space for grace. Give yourself space for grace, girl. Trina, look, I hate October is over. I want to thank you for being our month-long guest on Candid Conversations, girl. We're gonna have to do a repeat of this. So
we do.
Love having you here. And
we got a lot to talk about.
Girl, yes. And so many beautiful insights and diamonds, nuggets that you were dropping. So audience, I hope you've enjoyed Real Talk with us all month long. We're going to keep it going. We have a couple more episodes before we end for the season, but we'll be back in 2023 with something new and fresh. So be sure to tell your friends about this life-giving and changing conversation that we're having here. Invite them to the show. Invite them to watch our replays on YouTube and on the Win-Win platform. Be sure to go back and watch this episode, watch all the October episodes so you can piece the conversation together that we've been having on integrity and leading from the soul. And here's your call to action. I have two for you. So ponder these and answer in truth, transparency, love, and space for grace for yourself, right? Is doubt your stumbling block, keeping you from making a change, starting a business, defining your own path? Is doubt your stumbling block? And are you playing dress up and wearing masks, hiding from who you truly are, right? Are you playing dress up? Like I said at the top, it's Halloween, so I'm Little Red Riding Hood. But I know who I am, finally. And it's a beautiful thing to know, folks. So think on today's revelations, reconcile them with the path you're currently on, face your fears and make moves. It's never too late. And it's time for your renaissance. So it's your time to define and shine unapologetically. So if you're ready to be the captain of your fate, master of your soul, like Trina and I have taken on, join our Boss Nation, folks, by going to definingpaths.online and define your own path, or shoot us an email to support@definingpaths.info. We're giving a new face to the website, and I think it's up. Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. So check that out. Visit us. Find out how you can be a part of our family. We're a family who sees and cares about you. We serve from the heart and lead with integrity to put you back in business, folks. If you're ready to take your business online to a new level, or you're trying to start a business online, we got your back. Check out our turnkey solution, True Vision. You want to know all about this. And if you're a woman looking or dealing with, difficulties in the work environment, you've suffered injustices and you just need to exhale, you need to take a break, come and join us. In 2023, we're doing 2 retreats, not 1, but 2. The first one will be on the gorgeous little island of Isla Mujeres, Mexico, and the next will be on the gorgeous paradise of Crete in Greece. So check that out as well. And if you've just been seeking a safe haven, well, not just, because safe havens are important. If you're looking for inspiration, personal betterment, welcome home, folks. Thanks for spending time with us. We do not take it lightly, and be sure to come back, jump into one of our DP communities. Check out my girl, Trina. Trina, tell them how they can get to you, girl.
You can get to me. You can listen to Trina Talk on anywhere that podcasts. You can subscribe to podcasts and check me out on trinalmartin.com.
Yes, and stay plugged in, folks. You can follow us on social media at Pivot Maestro and on our new podcast, Define Your Path. Check out an episode, leave us a rating. We'd appreciate it. And we're available on all platforms. We'll see you next week to kick off our November episode, our last few shows this year. So until then, what is our mantra, ladies? Strong is the new sexy. So be strong in mind, body, soul, and business. Define your path and love the skin you're in. I'm Doc V, the Pivot Maestro. This is my girl, Trina L. Martin, the queen of equality in tech. And we are always your corner women. We are our sister's keeper. And we'll see you next week.